I'm here with Jayesh. We were about to talk about AS 4777.1 2024. There's been some changes, Jayesh. So what do you think is the biggest takeaway from this standard change?
Yeah, one of the key changes here really is the requirement for the interface protection, which was previously known as the secondary protection.
Could you explain the clause 3.4.5.1 in plain English?
It states that the interface protection relay would be required for the system greater than 200 kVA.
So that clause is just specifically for the capacity change when it comes to what's required from an interface protection.
Yeah, exactly, that's correct.
Some people think a 200 and under kVA system doesn't require a board. That's a bit risky, isn't it?
Yes, it is a risk, as some of the distributors still ask for the interface protection relay, which will be notified by the distributor during the grid application stage.
So the requirement for grid protection is really still up to the DNSPs?
Yes, you can say that, because from our analysis, we have found like some of the distributors still requires the interface protection relay.
Can you give us a quick tour of the manufacturing plant and explain what is pre-wired in our GridSafes?
We would have motorized breaker, inverter breakers if required, fuse for the control gear main switch MCB, secondary protection relay, which is now called as interface protection, interposing relay, energy meter, power supply, GPO, etc. Over the most, additionally, it is type tested to AS 61439.
What changes when you order a GridSafe without a relay?
If the customer orders the GridSafe without a relay, it would be the same enclosure and the circuit breakers. The only change would be there won't be an interface protection relay if it is not required, and there might be some cost difference of maybe around 10 to 30% of the total cost.
Without a relay, the enclosure still remains the same from the perspective of being certified and type tested.
Exactly, that's correct, because even if the interface protection relay is not present, the enclosure needs to be type tested to AS 61439 for that purpose.
What's the largest solar project that you've been involved with that has had interface protection, and what did you learn?
So we had one project of 1.6 megawatt system where we had 5 different GridSafe boards, 1 master and 4 slave boards, and which had 12 SEL relay, which is used for interface protection.
So what did you learn specifically from that project?
One of the key things I learned was the attention to detail, how important it is, because due to one of the small mistakes, the project was placed on hold for a week time.
Can you give me an example of a sub 200 kVA project that incorporates 3 inverters, uses a GridSafe that doesn't have a relay?
We still have the network protection boards for those projects. So what would happen is one of the 110 kVA inverter would be used for the STC purpose, whereas the other 2 inverters, let's say 50 kVA and 30 kVA inverter, they would be monitored through an LGC meter for the LGC purpose. So they would have the CTs installed across those inverter breakers only.
Electricians are very practical people. Why can't they build their own interface protection board?
What happens to the type testing of that board? And also, most of the time, the end customer would ask for the specific requirements, and if the board is built by themselves, they need to do all these documentations by themselves.
With the type testing, surely you need specialised facilities to type test.
Yeah, definitely they do need a specialized facility to type test the enclosure, and I think so there are multiple factors which are looked into the type testing. I think it is around a 13-point checklist or something like that.
Would you be able to summarise the go, no-go logic for the relay?
There are 3 logics. If the system is greater than 200 kVA, normal GridSafe board is required with interface protection. If the system is up to 200 kVA and you require the LGC metering or there is a generator at site, the third one is when the DNSP has requested for the interface protection for the system up to 200 kVA. We have put together a cheat sheet, and you can go to our website to get it.
So Jayesh, if there was one word you could use to sum up GridSafe 2025, what would it be?
It would be a grid sure.
Nice.
Yeah.